Hi everyone, Gemma here. Thank you for watching today. In this video we're going to be creating a gatefold card using the new collection from Made to Surprise. I'm also going to show you how I made the topper using flower forming foam. So I'm going to start by showing you how I made this gorgeous flower. So I'll bring in the die set that I've used. So this is the Build 'em Up Flowers and Leaves stamp and die set. So you've got all these gorgeous elements in here. You've got extra detail with the stamps, but I'm just going to focus on the dies today. So just take that out of the way. So this is the one that I've used. So to create the largest flower, I cut 3 of the largest die. Then 3 of the next die down. Now we're going to make 2 smaller dies, 2 smaller flowers to sit alongside this. So I've used the medium die, then the middle die and the smaller die, and I've cut each one 3 times to make 1 flower. So you want 6 of each. And it's relatively quick to cut flower forming foam. You just put your die over your sheet. You can fold it up 3 or 4 times and run that through your die cutter machine once. So you've got all these elements ready for you in no time. So I'm just going to ink the centre of the flowers, and I'm using Distress Oxide Spice Marmalade. And I thought these flowers matched the pattern paper that I've chosen really well. So I'm just loading up my finger dauber and adding some ink on the flower forming foam. You can pick up any of the excess and reuse that. So I'm going quite heavy-handed in the centre there. So I'm just going to go ahead and add ink to the rest of the flowers, and I'll come back to you once I've done that. So there's all my ink now added to the petals. So you want a hot glue gun. Mine is preheated on the side. You want an iron or a heat tool to help you shape your petals. I'm using this mini Cricut one, reason being I have it in my craft room, but household iron is fine, or you know, a cheaper alternative to this is fine, as long as you've got something to apply that heat, just so you can add a bit of shaping to the petals. I've got some flower wire, is that what you call it? I'm trying to think now. But I've just got a piece of that, and I've just curled the end off to create this hook. Hopefully you can see that. I've got some tweezers and a pokey tool, some foam, and a flower shaping sort of ball tool there. So how I make these smaller flowers is the same as what I did for the larger one. With the larger one, on the largest petals, I didn't hold the flowers on the heat for too long, because the flower forming foam does shrink. So I wanted to have that on there for a short amount of time, so that the petals remain larger. And as I make the smaller ones now, I'm going to leave them in there for longer, so you can see more of a contrast in the size. Hopefully makes sense. Just place that on the tool and you'll start to see it shrink. Oops. Just take it off, and I'm just going to twist just to add a bit of shape into that. So I'm going to set the petals to one side for one flower, and I'm just going to work on the one for now, so you can follow the steps. So I'm just going to do the same then for the same two medium pieces. Just apply that on the heat. and then just twist that between my finger and thumb just to add a bit of shape in. So I'm going to do exactly the same now for the 3 small pieces. So once you've applied the heat and added some sort of shape into the petals, you want to just open them back out and sort of spread the middle, if you will, just to give you a small surface to attach together. I'm going to start with this one because this has less shape in. And I'm just going to add a small blob of glue in the center there, and then just add the petals on top. Use the ball tool then to help shape that and press that down into the foam for the glue to dry in that shape. Just going to do the same then for the next piece. And then we've got the 3 layers added, and now you can see the flower starting to form. I'm just going to do the same with the 3 smaller pieces. So there's all the petals now attached. So all I'm going to do is take my pokey tool and pierce a hole just in the center of the flower. Use the foam to help you go through the glue. You've got a nice hole there now. Hopefully you can see that, to attach the stamen. So I've got a few of these brown coloured ones. I'm going to use the hook of this flower wire and just place that in the center. Help me pull that through the hole that we've created. So just gently pull that through the hole. And then before you pull it all the way through, I just like to add a little blob of glue in the center there. And then just trim away any excess. And you're left with this lovely flower. So you can see the difference in size between the large and the small. So just off camera, I'm going to do exactly the same with the other petals, just creating a second smaller flower, and then we'll continue with the rest of the card. For the card base, I'm using the Showstoppers 2 triple oval accordion die set, and I'm just going to work on the topper for a moment, just because I've got my glue gun on, it's nice and hot, and I just want to create that lovely topper, and then we'll move on to the rest of the card. So you've got 3 that sit nicely inside one another, and then you've got the slightly larger one. So I've used the largest die and cut that in white. The next layer down then is in the green, and then the next layer down is in the pattern paper. As I said, I'll talk you through the rest of the cutting guide and all the folds and everything after I've done the topper. So for the topper, you will need a piece, if you're going to create a belly band similar to mine. I've got a piece of white ribbon here, and that's going to attach on the front piece. I'm then going to attach the rest of the layers on top of that, and then add the floral elements. So I've got quite a good length here. My intention is to tie it on the side here, on the left hand side, so I don't want so I want to leave more length to the right rather than the left. I'm just adding a small amount of glue round about to the centre there, just to tack that in place. Next I'm going to bring in some foam adhesive pads and add the next layer on top. And just place that in the centre there. Doing the same then for the third layer. Adding some more foam adhesive and foam pads. Just placing that in the centre like so. So in the same die set as the flowers, we've got some leaf dies here, some foliage dies. So I've just cut a few of those in some dark green cardstock. And I'm just going to attach those for now. I might cut extra depending on how the arrangement turns out. I'm just going to have a little play. I think I'm going to bunch 3 together and place them sort of in the centre, following the same or similar line to the ribbon, because I want to show off that cardstock, that lovely pattern paper. I don't want it to be too covered by the florals. Just going to tuck that in beside it there. As I said, I'm just going to add these for now, but I may add more foliage a little bit further down the line. Using the triple oval accordion die set, I've cut 1 panel in white cardstock, so it gives me this piece. So there are several score lines on this piece. So if I start from left to right, we've got one that goes down the entire card there. You've got one that just goes down the oval piece there. One, or should I say 2, that just go over the top there. This one that just goes connecting the edges of those 2 oval pieces, and then one down the entire card. So the 2 outer score lines are valley folds, and you fold them in to create your gatefold card. Then working to the next score line, they're both mountain folds, so you fold those down. So these are slightly harder to fold, so you just want to pinch those into place. And then the top score line is also a mountain. So it stands up like so. You'll be able to see it like that. So it'll all fold flat, you fold the sides up and it'll go into your envelope. And then when you open it out, you sort of bend it into shape and it helps find its position. So now that we have the card base, I'm just going to add my mats and layers. So I've used this green or sage colour cardstock, and I've used the pattern paper from the paper pack, and I've cut all of these lovely mats and layers to attach onto the card base like so. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach those using Clal glue to help strengthen this card base. Once they're attached, I'll come back to you. So as I said, I've gone off camera and I've added all the mats and layers to the inside of the card, and I've also gone ahead and attached them to the front. So I've got the same pattern paper, so continuing the design on the front there, but I've used white cardstock, and hopefully you can see that lovely embossing detail. So just bring in the folder that I've used. So this is the Lovely Leaves embossing folder. Just added all that extra detail there. And what's really cool about this embossing folder is obviously you've got your design there, but the elements that Sam has designed within the dies, the build 'em up flower and leaf dies. Let me just bring that back in. So within this die set, for example, you've got the different shaped leaves, so they fit within the embossing folder and they can add all that lovely texture to your different elements. So I've done that with the topper. I've revisited it. I've added some vellum pieces on there, some extra foliage, and then some of these sage leaves, and I've used the embossing folder to add that detail on there, so hopefully you can see that. So I'm pleased with the topper now. It has more details on there. You know me, I like to add a lot to my cards. So going back to my card, I've prepared my sentiment. So I've used the same colour green cardstock on the front as I've used for my topper there, and I've heat embossed using white embossing powder, sending a huge happy birthday to you, and that's come from the large Showstoppers Sentiment A5 stamp set. I've just backed that then with some white cardstock, and that's going to sit in the centre there. And what I've done, I've cut a piece of 3 by 1, and I've scored at half, 1, 2 and 2.5, and I'm just going to create a little spring. So starting left to right, you want to valley fold, mountain, mountain and valley. Then this sort of gives you this spring piece, and I'm going to attach that there on the front. So it'll all fold flat, and when it'll help the card close, and then it'll pop up once it's open. In hindsight, what I would have done, had I thought about it earlier, I wouldn't have attached the mats and layers. I would have had a piece of acetate coming across the centre there to support this, and then when you stand it up, it would pop out. So you might see that on another card using this collection, but the mats and layers were already attached, and I didn't have enough time to lift them back up to pop that on the acetate as I had thought. So I'm going to use this spring instead. So I'll give it a similar effect. So I'm just going to place that in the centre. Just push that down. And then, as I said, it stands up like so, so you've got this diamond shape, so you'll see that from the front. I've left the black in white so you can write your message here. And then lastly, I'm going to finish off with the topper. I did add an additional piece there. There's a larger oval within the die set, and that just covers that front piece there. So I just added that on. So I've just tied off the ribbon and added the belly band there. And lastly, just to finish it off, I do want to add some Crystal Nouveau drops, and this is in the Simply White. But I'm just going to slide this off the card first, so that I've got a flat surface and I don't catch any of the foliage or the ribbon within the Nouveau drops. So there's the Nuvo drops added. Obviously they're going to take quite some time to dry, so I would set them to one side and let them dry overnight. So I'm just going to give them a little tap just to help self level them. So there's the final card. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, you might want to hit the like button, leave a comment, or consider subscribing to the channel. If you do subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future tutorials. All the products will be listed in the description box below. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!